Hello friends, welcome to Technique. This is Nirmal here, and in this video we're going to do a detailed camera review of the new Reno 5 Pro. So Oppo Reno 5 Pro is the latest device or rather the mid-premium range smartphone. This is priced almost 36,000 and this comes with really good hardware. It has the Dimensity 1000 plus octa-core processor and you get an AMOLED display and a higher refresh rate as well. Now you also get a quad camera setup here. Now we have a primary 64 megapixel f1.7 aperture camera, then you get an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle lens, then a 2 megapixel macro sensor, and finally you get a 2 megapixel depth sensor. And on the front panel you get a 32 megapixel selfie camera included. So that's the Oppo Reno 5 Pro. So how good is the camera? That's what we are going to talk about in this video. So Reno 4 Pro had some issues with the camera, so let's see how it has improved in terms of camera quality on the Reno 5 Pro. So that's what we are going to talk about in this video. So if this is your first time on this channel, do hit that red subscribe button and also hit the bell icon to get notified of all the videos we publish. So let's begin the camera review of the Oppo Reno 5 Pro. In terms of camera hardware, the Reno 5 Pro comes with a primary 64 megapixel sensor with f1.7 aperture and face detection autofocus. The secondary camera is an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle lens with f2.2 aperture. You also get a third 2 megapixel macro sensor with f2.4 aperture and finally a 2 megapixel depth sensor. The front camera is a 32 megapixel in-display selfie shooter with f2.4 aperture. So let's find out how the camera performs. First, let's have a look at the daylight captures. Here you can see that the photos are bright and have good colors and good details too. The colors aren't saturated for the most part, but it is predominantly towards the cooler side. But at times it messes up with the sky colors, making it a bit too saturated. While the overall quality looks good, if you pixel peep, you can see that the sharpness levels are quite good. The dynamic range is also pretty good with the device. Overall, we feel compared to the Reno 4 Pro, there is definitely improvement in quality on the Oppo Reno 5 Pro. The ultra-wide angle camera samples have once again good colors like primary sensor, and it does a decent job considering it is an 8 megapixel shooter. The sharpness levels are also quite acceptable. Moving on to the close-up shots, here the phone does exceedingly well in bringing good details and colors are mostly good and does a pretty good job here. The phone also comes with 2 megapixel macro sensor and here again it is quite good. Overall we feel close-ups and macros have come really good. Now moving on to the portraits, the Oppo Reno 5 Pro fails to create an impression in the portraits department. The portrait shots were kind of overexposed and the skin tones were way too whitish and too much of beauty mode processing happening even when it is turned off. This is one of the areas where Oppo needs to improve. The edge detection is good and we didn't see any major issues in terms of edge detection. Now moving on to the low light, the phone does a decent job in images shot in the artificial light or low light conditions. There is good noise control and details are good in this department. But there is a bit of softening happening due to the excessive noise reduction. There is also a night mode on offer and here we feel processing isn't great all the time and it blows out details to a higher extent. Probably this can be fixed via software updates. Finally, the selfie experience. The 32 megapixel selfie camera does a decent job in terms of selfies. The colors are quite good and does not saturate. The facial tones are good and the sharpness levels are also quite acceptable. Since selfies are more of a personal choice, I would leave it to your viewers to decide on the quality. The portrait selfies are decent and the edge detection isn't the best out there but manages to keep it decent looking. So this is the front facing camera sample taken with the Oppo Reno 5 Pro, so you can judge yourself how good the clarity of the video is and also the audio output from the front facing camera. Now moving on to the 4K video sample. The phone can record 4K at 30 fps with stabilization being offered. The sharpness levels are good but stabilization isn't perfect for a phone in this price segment. Also colors are not accurate and it has tendency to saturate colors, especially with a warmer tone. There is no 4K at 60 fps which is quite disappointing for a phone in this price segment. The phone also supports 1080p at 60 fps. Here again the quality is acceptable but lack of stabilization spoils the whole experience. The details and sharpness levels are good. Here again the colors are much better than the 4K sample. The phone also comes with 1080p at 60 fps with stabilization. Here again the quality looks good, especially the colors and details. The sharpness levels are also pretty good. But once again the stabilization isn't perfect even though it looks quite okay. Overall video quality is improved, but there is still room for improvement. The phone also comes with 1080p video for ultra wide angle, and once again the quality is decent but lacks stabilization. The phone can also do slow motion at 960 fps and the quality is decent. So summing up, how good is the Oppo Reno 5 Pro as a camera smartphone? While the Oppo Reno 5 Pro improves on the camera abilities compared to the Oppo Reno 4 Pro, there is still room for improvement in terms of video quality, portraits and also night mode, which we feel should be done via software updates considering the price segment. So what do you guys think about the camera on the Oppo Reno 5 Pro? Do share your thoughts in the comment section. This is Nirmal signing off. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in our next video. Have a great day.